Claire's trembling fingers hovered over her phone as raindrops pounded against the windows, each one echoing the frantic beating of her heart. The cryptic message glowed on her screen. "We know where you live, Claire. We know about Emily." Outside, 3 black SUVs with tinted windows rolled to a stop in front of her modest home, their headlights cutting through the downpour like predatory eyes. She clutched the inhaler meant for her daughter's asthma, a reminder of everything she stood to lose as heavy footsteps approached her door. The man who emerged from the center vehicle wore power like a second skin. Adrian Santoro, his dark eyes assessing her with dangerous calculation as lightning briefly illuminated the night, revealing the unmistakable outline of a holstered gun beneath his impeccable suit. Claire Matthews stared at the mounting bills spread across her kitchen table, the red final notice stamps seeming to pulse in the dim light. Her daughter's asthma medication alone cost more than she made in a week at the diner. 6 months since David had sent any child support, and Emily's condition was worsening. She grabbed her phone, pacing the worn linoleum floor of their small rental home. The rain outside matched her mood, relentless and gloomy. Emily's soft coughs from the bedroom reminded Claire why she couldn't afford to fall apart. "David, I'm not asking anymore, I'm telling you." Claire spoke into her phone, recording a voice message. "Emily's medication costs $340, and the insurance won't cover it until next month. She's having attacks almost daily now." Her voice cracked. "This isn't about me or us. This is your daughter we're talking about. The same daughter you promised to support when you walked out that door." She paused, wiping away angry tears. "The rent is late. The electricity might get cut off, and I'm working double shifts just to keep food on the table. Meanwhile, I see you posting vacation photos from Miami on Instagram." Claire's voice hardened. "Either you send the money you owe by tomorrow, or I'm going to my lawyer. I have all the texts where you promised to pay. Don't make me do this, David. Just be a father for once." Claire ended the recording, and without double-checking, hit send. She set her phone down and went to check on Emily, tucking the blanket around her sleeping form and adjusting the humidifier that helped ease her breathing. When she returned to the kitchen, her phone was blinking with a notification. That was fast. David usually took days to respond, if he bothered at all. The message wasn't from David. It was from a number she didn't recognize, saved simply as AS. She frowned, trying to remember who that might be. A client from the diner. Someone from Emily's school. Then she realized with horror what had happened. She'd sent the voice message to the wrong contact. Someone right at the top of her contacts list. Someone she didn't even know. Her phone chimed again. "I believe you have the wrong number, but your David sounds like a real piece of work." Claire sighed with relief. Just an understanding stranger. She quickly typed an apology. "I'm so sorry about that. You're right, wrong number. Please disregard." She was about to set her phone down when another message appeared. David Miller, correct. Lives in a high-rise on Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. Drives a leased BMW he can't afford. Claire froze, her blood turning to ice. How could this stranger know? "Who is this?" she typed with shaking fingers. The reply came immediately. "Someone who knows David Miller quite well. He owes more than just child support, Claire." Claire's heart pounded in her chest. This person knew her name, knew David, knew details. "I don't know what you're talking about. Please leave me alone," she wrote. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. The message that came through made her knees buckle. "We know where you live, Claire. 1742, Oakwood Drive. We know about Emily, her asthma, her favorite stuffed rabbit with the torn ear, the pink bedroom with star stickers on the ceiling." Claire dropped the phone as if it had burned her. No one knew those details except people who had been inside her home. She scrambled to the window, pulling back the curtain just enough to peer outside. Through the rain-streaked glass she saw them. 3 black SUVs rolling slowly down her quiet street. They stopped directly in front of her house, headlights illuminating the rain in eerie cones of light. Her phone chimed again. With trembling hands, she picked it up. "Don't call the police. For Emily's sake. We're coming to talk. Just talk." Claire ran to Emily's room, heart hammering against her ribs. Her daughter slept peacefully, unaware of the danger approaching their door. Claire grabbed Emily's emergency bag, packed for hospital visits, and placed it by the bedroom door. She slipped the inhaler into her pocket. The doorbell rang, its cheerful tone a stark contrast to the dread filling her home. Through the peephole, she saw a man in an expensive suit, his dark hair slicked back, standing calmly despite the rain. Two larger men flanked him, their postures unmistakably those of security or enforcers. The man looked directly at the peephole, as if he could see her through it. "Claire Matthews." His voice carried clearly through the door. "My name is Adrian Santoro. I believe we have a mutual acquaintance in David Miller. I promise we're just here to talk. But I suggest you open this door, rather than make me ask again." Claire's mind raced through options. Call the police. They'd never arrive in time. Run out the back. The other men were probably already covering it. Her neighbors. The elderly couple on one side, and the family on vacation on the other, would be no help. She thought of Emily, sleeping and vulnerable. With a deep breath, Claire unlocked the door, keeping the chain fastened. Rain spattered through the crack as she peered out at the man who somehow knew everything about her life. "What do you want with me?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Adrian Santoro's dark eyes assessed her calmly. "It's not what I want with you, Miss Matthews. It's what your ex-husband has that belongs to me. And I believe you're going to help me get it back." "I don't know anything about David's business," Claire said, the chain still between them. "We've barely spoken in months." Adrian Santoro's expression remained impassive. "I understand your caution. But this conversation would be better conducted inside, away from curious eyes." As if to emphasize his point, lightning flashed, illuminating his face, handsome in a severe way, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that missed nothing. "I have a sleeping child," Claire warned. "I'm aware. We won't disturb her." His tone softened slightly. "You have my word that no harm will come to either of you if we can resolve this matter civilly." The implicit threat in his words, the "if," wasn't lost on Claire. With reluctance, she closed the door, unlatched the chain, and reopened it. Adrian entered first, his expensive shoes squeaking slightly on the worn linoleum. He surveyed her modest living room with an unreadable expression. The two men remained outside, taking positions by the door. "Please sit," Claire said, gesturing to the couch, trying to maintain some semblance of control in her own home. Adrian unbuttoned his suit jacket and sat, his posture relaxed yet alert. "Your ex-husband works for me. Or rather, he did. David's in real estate," Claire said automatically. A smile flickered across Adrian's face. "Is that what he told you?" "No, Claire. David handles certain financial transactions for the Castelli organization, laundering, primarily." The Castelli organization. Claire had heard whispers about them. Everyone in the city had. They controlled everything from construction to nightclubs, with rumors of darker enterprises beneath the legitimate facade. "I don't believe you," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. 3 months ago, David disappeared with something that belongs to us. A flash drive containing sensitive information, client lists, transaction records, things that could be very damaging in the wrong hands. Adrian leaned forward. "We've been tracking him since. He's been careful, but not careful enough." Claire's mind raced. 3 months ago. Around the time he stopped sending money for your daughter. He's running, and he's burning bridges. I still don't understand what this has to do with me. Adrian reached into his jacket and withdrew a phone. Claire flinched. But he simply pulled up an image and turned the screen toward her. It was a text conversation. David's name was at the top. "If they come for me, I'll tell them about Claire and Emily. They won't hurt a kid or her mother. It's my insurance policy." Claire felt physically ill. "He's using us as human shields?" "It appears so." Adrian tucked the phone away. "David believes my organization won't harm a mother and child. He's mostly correct. We have certain lines we don't cross. But he's put you in an impossible position, nonetheless." Claire stood, pacing the small living room. "I haven't seen or heard from David in months, except to beg for child support. I don't know anything about a flash drive." "I believe you," Adrian said simply, "but David doesn't know that. He thinks you're still his safety net. What do you want from me?" "Help us bring him in. Contact him. Tell him you need to meet. We'll handle the rest." Claire laughed bitterly. You think he'll come if I call? He ignores me completely. Not if you tell him you found something of his, something important. Adrian's eyes never left hers. Something like a flash drive he might have hidden here before he left. The realization hit her like a physical blow. You want me to lie to him, to set him up. I want you to help me recover what's mine. In return, I can offer you protection and financial stability for you and your daughter. And if I refuse... Adrian's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes hardened. Then we wait for David to make contact, and when he does, we'll be here. Your involvement becomes less voluntary. Claire glanced toward Emily's bedroom. You're threatening a single mother and a sick child. I'm offering a solution that benefits everyone except a man who was willing to use his own daughter as a shield. Adrian stood, straightening his jacket. David stole from dangerous people, Claire. People far less reasonable than me. If that flash drive falls into certain hands, many lives are at risk, including yours and Emily's. Claire felt trapped, cornered by circumstances she'd never asked for. How do I know you'll keep your word? That we'll be safe after? Adrian reached into his pocket again, but this time withdrew a pen and a small notepad. He wrote something, tore off the page, and handed it to her. This is my personal number. Not a burner, not a business line. My promise in writing. In exchange for your cooperation in recovering the flash drive, I guarantee the safety and financial security of Claire and Emily Matthews, effective immediately and in perpetuity. Adrian Santoro. Claire stared at the handwritten note. Why would you put this in writing? Because contrary to what you might think, I'm a man of my word. And because I understand what it means to protect family. His voice carried a weight she couldn't quite decipher. A small cough came from down the hall, followed by the sound of little feet. Emily appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Mommy, my chest feels tight. Claire moved immediately to her daughter, kneeling to check her breathing. It's okay, baby. Let me get your inhaler. She reached into her pocket for the medication, acutely aware of Adrian watching them. After helping Emily take 2 puffs, she brushed the hair from her daughter's forehead. Emily nodded, her curious gaze now fixed on the stranger in their living room. Who's that? Before Claire could answer, Adrian knelt down to Emily's level, his entire demeanor transforming. I'm Mr. Santoro. I'm a business associate of your mom's. Emily studied him with a child's direct gaze. You have a nice suit. Are you rich? A genuine smile crossed Adrian's face. I do all right. Your mom and I were just finishing our talk. You should get back to sleep. It's late for little warriors. Emily seemed satisfied with this explanation and allowed Claire to lead her back to bed. When Claire returned, Adrian was standing by the window, watching his men outside. You have until tomorrow evening to decide, he said without turning. For what it's worth, I believe this is the safest path for both of you. As he moved toward the door, Claire found her voice. I'll do it. Not for you, and certainly not for David. For Emily. Adrian paused, studying her with newfound respect. We'll be in touch with details. He handed her a business card. If you need anything in the meantime, anything at all, call this number. My men will be watching your house. For protection, he added, seeing her expression, after he left. Claire sank onto the couch, the handwritten promise clutched in her hand. She'd just made a deal with a Mafia boss to betray her daughter's father, and somehow, it felt like the first right choice she'd made in years. Morning arrived with a clarity Claire hadn't expected. She'd slept fitfully, waking to check on Emily and peer through the blinds at the black SUV still parked across the street. By dawn, her fear had hardened into something else, determination. She called in sick to the diner, something she never did. Within an hour, a delivery arrived. Groceries, Emily's medication, and an envelope containing enough cash to cover 3 months' rent. The message was clear. Adrian Santoro was already fulfilling his part of the bargain. Emily seemed better after a night with the humidifier. Claire made pancakes, a rare treat, and watched her daughter eat with the single-minded focus of a 7-year-old. Can I go to Lily's house today? Emily asked, syrup on her chin. Claire hesitated. Not today, sweetie. Mommy needs you close by. Because of the man in the suit. Children missed nothing. Sort of. He's helping us with some grown-up problems. Is it about Daddy? Are we going to see him? The innocent question twisted Claire's heart. Maybe soon. We'll see. After breakfast, Claire's phone rang with an unknown number. She stepped into the kitchen to answer. We need to move quickly. Adrian's voice was all business. Our intelligence suggests David is planning to leave the country within 48 hours. Claire leaned against the counter. What do you need me to do? Call him. Tell him you found something while cleaning out the hall closet. A small metal box with a flash drive inside. Say you haven't looked at it, but figured it must be important. He won't believe I just happened to find it now. Tell him you were packing to move, that without his support, you can't afford the place anymore. The story was believable because it was true. Claire nodded, then realized he couldn't see her. Okay. And when he wants to meet, suggest somewhere public. The cafe at West Side Mall, perhaps, tomorrow at noon. And if he doesn't take the bait, he will. Adrian's confidence was absolute. He's desperate, and this is exactly what he's been waiting for. A way to retrieve his insurance policy without exposing himself. After they hung up, Claire stared at her phone for a long moment before pulling up David's contact. Her thumb hovered over the call button before she decided on a text instead. Need to talk. Found something of yours while packing. Small metal box with a drive inside. Looks important. She hit send and waited. 3 minutes later, her phone buzzed. What drive? What does it look like? Claire smiled grimly. He'd taken the bait instantly. Following Adrian's instructions, she replied. Black with a red stripe, was hidden in the back of the hall closet. The response came even faster. Don't touch it. Don't look at what's on it. Where are you packing to go? Can't afford this place anymore without your support. Emily and I are downsizing. There was a longer pause this time. Claire could almost see David calculating, weighing his options. I can help with money. Meet me tomorrow. West Side Mall Cafe, 12:30. Claire felt a chill. She hadn't even needed to suggest the location. He'd chosen a public place himself, likely for his own protection. She texted Adrian the details, and within minutes received confirmation that everything was set. That evening, after Emily was asleep, a soft knock came at the door. Claire opened it to find Adrian standing there alone, more casually dressed than before, in dark jeans, and a gray sweater that did nothing to diminish his commanding presence. May I come in? We should go over tomorrow's plan. Claire stepped aside, in the living room. Adrian declined her offer of coffee and got straight to business, outlining the operation with military precision. My people will be positioned throughout the mall. You'll be wearing this. He handed her a small earpiece, so we can communicate if needed. The flash drive is likely encrypted, so it's crucial we recover the actual device, not just its contents. Claire turned the earpiece over in her hand. What happens to David when you get it? Adrian's expression revealed nothing. He'll have to answer for his choices. Will you kill him? The question was blunt, but Claire needed to know what she was participating in. Adrian studied her for a long moment. Would that bother you? After what he's done, he's still Emily's father. Adrian nodded slowly. We're not monsters, Claire. Despite what you may think, David will face consequences. But death isn't necessarily one of them. That depends on what else we discover. An uncomfortable silence fell between them. Claire moved to the kitchen to pour herself a glass of water, feeling Adrian's eyes follow her. You're handling this remarkably well, he observed. Most people would be falling apart. Claire gave a humorless laugh. I don't have the luxury of falling apart. I have Emily. Your strength is admirable. It's not strength. It's survival. Adrian moved closer, leaning against the kitchen counter. This close, Claire could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle. Tell me about her, he said unexpectedly. Emily. The request surprised her. Why? Because I'm curious about the child David was willing to use as a shield. And because I want to understand what drives you. Claire hesitated, then found herself talking about Emily's premature birth, her early struggles with asthma, her boundless enthusiasm for marine biology, despite never having seen the ocean, about her resilience through the divorce, her unwavering belief that people were fundamentally good. Adrian listened with genuine interest, occasionally asking questions that revealed a depth Claire hadn't expected from him. when she mentioned Emily's upcoming school science fair. His eyes lit up. I studied marine biology in college before. He gestured vaguely. Other opportunities arose. Claire couldn't help but smile. The Mafia boss with a marine biology degree? Life takes unexpected turns. His expression grew serious again. Which is why I want you to consider your options after tomorrow. David knows where you live. He knows your routines. Even with him out of the picture, his actions have created risks for you. What are you suggesting? I can arrange new identities. A fresh start somewhere safe. Or he seemed to choose his next words carefully. I can offer ongoing protection here. My organization has legitimate businesses that could use someone with your determination. Claire stared at him, trying to read behind his words. You're offering me a job in the Mafia. Adrian actually laughed, a warm, genuine sound that transformed his face. Nothing so dramatic. Our restaurant group needs managers, people I can trust. And you trust me, a woman you met yesterday. I'm a good judge of character. It's how I've survived this long. Their eyes held for a moment too long before Claire looked away. I should check on Emily. Adrian straightened, moving toward the door. Think about it. Either way, after tomorrow, your financial worries will be over. I keep my promises. As he reached for the doorknob, Claire found herself asking, why are you doing all this? The money, the job offer. It seems excessive for someone who just happened to receive a wrong voice message. Adrian turned, his expression unreadable once more. Perhaps I recognize something in you that reminds me why certain principles matter, even in my world. After he left, Claire checked on Emily, then sat by the window watching the security detail outside. Tomorrow, she would betray her daughter's father to a man who embodied everything she'd spent her life avoiding. Yet somehow, in Adrian Santoro's presence, the lines between right and wrong, safety and danger, had begun to blur in ways she never could have anticipated. The West Side Mall hummed with midday activity as Claire found a table at the cafe. She'd left Emily with Mrs. Winters, her elderly neighbor who'd been bribed into silence with a generous babysitting fee, courtesy of Adrian. Testing Claire. Can you hear me? Adrian's voice came through the nearly invisible earpiece. Claire touched her earring as instructed, their signal for yes. Good. My people are in position. The barista, the man reading a newspaper by the fountain, and the security guard near the escalator. David hasn't arrived yet, but we've spotted his car in the parking garage. Claire sipped her coffee, fighting to keep her hands steady. She dressed carefully, jeans, a simple blouse, her hair pulled back. Nothing that suggested this was anything but a casual meeting with her ex-husband. The flash drive in her purse was a convincing replica Adrian had provided. She felt its weight like a stone. He's entering the mall now, Adrian's voice informed her. Remember, keep him talking. We need to confirm what's on the drive, and who else might have copies. 5 minutes later, Claire spotted David weaving through the tables toward her. He looked thinner than she remembered. His once immaculate appearance, now slightly disheveled. His eyes darted around constantly, never settling. Claire. He didn't kiss her cheek or offer any greeting beyond her name as he sat down. David. She kept her voice neutral. You look tired. Where is it? No preamble, no questions about their daughter. Claire felt a surge of genuine anger. Not even going to ask about Emily. Your daughter. The one whose medication I can barely afford? David's jaw tightened. I've been dealing with some business issues. I told you I'd help with money. Now, do you have what I think you have? First, tell me what it is. What was so important you hid it in our house? Just some work files, he said dismissively. Backup data. Nothing exciting. Important enough that you're meeting me after months of ignoring my calls. David leaned forward, lowering his voice. Look, that drive is worth a lot to me. 20,000. Cash. Enough to cover Emily's medical bills for a year. Just hand it over, and we both win. In her ear, Adrian's voice was calm. Ask him who else knows about it. Claire stirred her coffee. Who else is looking for it, David? Is that why you've been dealing with business issues? A flash of surprise crossed his face. What do you mean? I'm not stupid. You're clearly scared of something, or someone. David's eyes darted around again. It's complicated. Just business competitors. Nothing for you to worry about. like the Castelli organization. Claire watched his face drain of color. How do you? David stopped himself, visibly regrouping. Have you been talking to someone? Has someone approached you? In her ear, Adrian said, Perfect. Keep pushing. Claire leaned forward. Should I be worried, David? Should Emily be worried? Because it seems like you've gotten yourself into something dangerous and then used our home as your personal hiding place. Give me the drive, Claire. David's voice hardened. You don't want to get involved in this. Too late. I already am involved. You made sure of that when you hid it in my house, where my daughter sleeps. David's expression shifted, calculation replacing fear. How's Emily doing? Her asthma any better? The casual mention of their daughter's condition, after showing no interest, made Claire's blood boil. Don't you dare use her now. I'm just asking about my daughter. The daughter you were willing to use as insurance. The words slipped out before she could stop them. David went completely still. What did you say? In her ear, Adrian's voice sharpened. Careful, Claire. But Claire was beyond careful now. I know, David. I know you told them you'd use us as shields. Your own daughter. David's hand shot across the table, gripping her wrist painfully. Who have you been talking to? His voice was a harsh whisper. Let go of me. Claire's voice was steady despite her racing heart. The drive now. His fingers tightened. We're moving in, Adrian said in her ear. Keep him there. Claire reached into her purse with her free hand and pulled out the replica flash drive. This what you're willing to hurt your daughter for? David released her wrist to snatch the drive. As he did, the security guard and barista converged on their table. David saw them coming and stood abruptly, knocking over his chair. You set me up, he hissed at Claire, backing away. You set us up first, she replied calmly. When you decided we were expendable. David turned to run, but found his path blocked by the man with the newspaper. In seconds, they had him by both arms, the confrontation so smooth and quiet that most mall patrons didn't even notice. Adrian appeared at Claire's side, his hand gentle on her shoulder. Are you all right? She nodded, rubbing her wrist where David's fingers had dug in. Adrian's expression darkened when he saw the red marks. He moved toward David, who was struggling against his captors. Mr. Miller, at last. Adrian's voice was ice. I believe you have something that belongs to me, Santoro. David's face contorted with fear and hatred. You can't do this. We're in public. Yet here we are. Adrian nodded to his men, who began moving David toward the service corridor. Claire, you don't need to see the rest of this. One of my associates will take you home. Claire stood. Is that it? I just go home and pretend this never happened. Adrian studied her for a moment. What would you prefer? I want to know what he was willing to sacrifice us for. I want to hear him admit it. Adrian seemed to weigh this request before nodding. Very well. They followed the others to a service area behind the mall, where David was pushed against the wall, the flash drive already taken from him. Is this it? Adrian held up the drive. Yes, David spat. Now we're even. Even. Adrian laughed softly. You stole from me, betrayed my trust, and were willing to use an innocent child as leverage. We're far from even. What do you want? First, confirmation. This drive contains the Castelli client list and transaction records. David's silence was answer enough. And who else has copies? No one, David said too quickly. Adrian nodded to one of his men, who pressed firmly on David's shoulder. David gasped in pain. Try again, Adrian suggested. Alvarez. Miguel Alvarez has a copy, but he doesn't know what it is yet. I was bringing it to him tomorrow. Adrian turned to Claire. Satisfied, she stepped forward, facing David directly. You were really going to use Emily, your own daughter? David wouldn't meet her eyes. I needed insurance. They have a code. They don't hurt kids. That doesn't make it right. Claire's voice rose. She loves you. Even though you're never there. Even though you don't send her birthday cards or ask about her school. She still defends you to her friends. David had no response. Adrian touched Claire's arm gently. I think we're done here. As they turned to leave, David called out, Claire, you can't trust him. He's worse than me. Whatever he's promised you. Adrian didn't turn around, but one of his men silenced David with a swift movement. Outside in the bright sunlight, Claire felt oddly calm. What happens now? Now, Adrian said, guiding her toward a waiting car. We honor our agreement. Your financial concerns are over. David will no longer be a problem. And you have a decision to make about your future. As they drove away, Claire looked back at the mall, feeling as though she was leaving behind more than just the confrontation with David. She was leaving behind years of vulnerability, of being at someone else's mercy. She turned to find Adrian watching her, his expression softer than she'd seen before. For the first time, Claire wondered if she'd found not just security in this dangerous man, but something she hadn't dared hope for in years. Respect. 3 days passed in a strange new reality. David had vanished from their lives, as completely as if he'd never existed. Claire's bank account now held more money than she'd ever had at once, and a legal document had arrived transferring full custody of Emily to her, with David's signature. Whether coerced or willing, she didn't know. Adrian had kept his distance, communicating only through brief texts, checking on their welfare. The black SUV remained stationed outside, a constant reminder of their unusual protection. Emily seemed to sense the shift in their circumstances. "Are we rich now, Mommy?" she asked over dinner, a meal Claire had actually had time to cook properly. Claire smiled. "Not rich, honey. But we don't have to worry so much anymore. Is it because of Mr. Santoro? Tyler at school says his daddy told him Mr. Santoro is a bad man who owns the city." Claire nearly choked on her water. "Mr. Santoro is complicated. He helped us when we needed it." "I like him," Emily declared with a child's simple certainty. "He didn't talk to me like I'm stupid. And he knows about whales." Claire couldn't help but laugh. Adrian Santoro, feared Mafia boss, had apparently won her daughter's approval by discussing cetaceans after Emily was asleep. Claire sat on their small porch, watching the stars appear one by one. The night was unusually clear, the air carrying the first hints of autumn. She wrapped her cardigan tighter around herself, thinking about Adrian's offer. New identities, a fresh start somewhere else, or staying, working for his legitimate businesses, under his protection. Both options meant safety for Emily. Both meant financial security, but one meant walking away from everything familiar, while the other meant binding their lives to a man who lived by his own dangerous code. Her phone buzzed with a text from Adrian. "May I stop by? There are some matters to discuss." Claire texted back her agreement, and 20 minutes later, his car pulled up. He came alone this time, carrying a slim portfolio. "How are you?" he asked as she let him in, his eyes taking in the details of her face as if checking for signs of distress. "Better than I expected," Claire admitted. "Emily's breathing has improved with the regular medication. I've been able to sleep through the night." Adrian nodded, pleased. "I've brought the paperwork for both options we discussed. New identities. Completely legitimate, by the way. Through official channels I have access to. Or employment contracts for the restaurant group." He placed the portfolio on the coffee table, but made no move to open it. "There's also a third option I'd like to propose." Claire raised an eyebrow. "Another option?" Adrian seemed uncharacteristically hesitant. "You could remain exactly as you are. Claire Matthews. Same home for now. Same life. But with my personal guarantee of protection and financial support." "Why would you do that? What's the catch?" "No catch. Just my recognition that you've handled an impossible situation with remarkable grace and intelligence." He paused. "And perhaps because I find myself invested in your welfare, in both of yours." Claire studied him, trying to read between the carefully chosen words. "You barely know us." "I know enough." Adrian's gaze was steady. "I know you're loyal, brave, and fiercely protective. I know your daughter is bright and resilient. I know you both deserve better than what life has handed you. And what do you get out of this arrangement?" A smile touched the corner of his mouth. "The satisfaction of doing something purely because it's right. A rare luxury in my world." Claire wasn't convinced. "There's more to it than that." Adrian stood, moving to the window to look out at the quiet street. "Perhaps I see in you and Emily a chance to protect something untainted by my usual business. Perhaps I simply admire you." He turned back to her. "Or perhaps I'm hoping that, given time, you might see me as more than the man who arrived at your door that rainy night." The implication hung in the air between them. "You're a dangerous man, Adrian." Yes, he didn't deny it, but never to you. Never to Emily. Claire joined him at the window. And if I choose to leave, take the new identities, then I wish you well and ensure you're set up comfortably. My offer comes with no strings, Claire. That's the point. She believed him, which was perhaps the most surprising development of all. In the short time she'd known him, Adrian Santoro had never once lied to her or broken his word. Emily asked about you today, Claire said softly. She said she likes you because you know about whales, and don't talk to her like she's stupid. Adrian's expression softened. High praise indeed. She also said her friend's father called you a bad man who owns the city. And what did you tell her? That you're complicated. That you helped us when we needed it. Adrian nodded slowly. A fair assessment. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the security detail change shifts outside. Finally, Claire turned to face him directly. I need time to think about all this. Of course. Adrian moved toward the door. The paperwork is there when you're ready. No deadline. No pressure. As he reached for the doorknob, Claire spoke again. Emily's school has a science fair next Friday. Her project is on marine ecosystems, if you'd like to come. Adrian turned, genuine surprise and something like hope in his expression. I'd like that very much. After he left, Claire returned to the porch, her mind clearer than it had been in days. She thought about the strange path that had led her here, an accidental voice message sent to the wrong contact that had somehow connected her to precisely the right person at exactly the right time. She thought about David, who had fathered her child, but never truly protected either of them. And she thought about Adrian, who had entered their lives like a storm, but brought with him an unexpected calm. Inside, Emily slept peacefully, her breathing easy and regular for the first time in months. Claire listened to the gentle sound through the open window, making her decision. She wouldn't run. She wouldn't hide behind new identities. She would stay, accept Adrian's protection, and see where this unusual connection might lead. Not because she needed saving, but because, for the first time in years, she had found someone who saw her strength rather than her vulnerability. As dawn broke over the horizon, Claire felt no fear, only a curious sense of anticipation for what the future might hold. The wrong message had somehow led her to the right protector, and perhaps, in time, to something neither of them had been looking for, but both might have been waiting to find.